Hello, and welcome back to trying to film myself while dogs are going crazy. Cruz is sitting next to me because I was trying to quiet a little dog in the back, and he thought it was somebody else, so he was like freaking out. So, latest update on everything. I am about to run out. I'm not going to show the front of it, but I am about to run out your book, Christine, if you are watching this, to the mail. Hopefully getting it in the mail before the mail comes. If anybody is curious, you always have the option to get a book through me. A lot of the time I end up with proof versions of my books that are just like the real book that you would buy from a store, but also you can get the paperbacks through me if you want to get them signed or to just buy them through me yourself in general. Give me extra money in the pocket. And that's what this book is. It is, I will try to put a picture up one of these places. It is the Granddaughter's Magical Curfew, or a Granddaughter's Magical Curfew, but it's the paperback. And I put my work over here. I probably should have just written it down, but whatever. I am at page 33 of inputting the changes from, it's technically right now called Synthco James. That's the title that I could not remember the last time I was talking about that book. It's not as... Bug, are you crying? It's not as extreme as I was thinking it was, so I might get away with not really changing too much about it and not having to label it much more than, say, spicy romance, as my editor was saying, or just fantasy romance. I made a cover for it. I will show you also on here. But I'm back and forth on the font for my first and middle name because it's important when you are making covers that they don't go too far into certain areas if the subject matter doesn't match. For example, this one is, the font looks really romantic. I liked how it looked, but then I'm thinking I might tone that down just so that if a reader skims and they looks at it, you can see I did superimpose a droid or robot or AI kind of thing inside the image of the man, so you can kind of see that. And then you got the woman, but I don't want people going into it thinking it's just some kind of casual romance, and then it starts creeping into a little more details for certain scenes and parts. I'm trying to be careful how I talk. And the problem with doing that is it's like if you make a cover that really screams, say, science fiction, and you use certain fonts that science fiction authors tend to use for their covers, or when you're making a cover for science fiction and you purposely do stuff like that, but then when a reader reads it, it's not anywhere near science fiction. Say it's a romance about a cowboy and a cowgirl, or cowboy and just a regular woman, or it's a horror and you make it all light and bubbly on the cover. Some, they do that with covers, you know, they like to play for the different looks and everything, but there is always a lot of other things that go into showing that what you're going to get with the book. So I don't want a reader to go into just casually looking at the cover and not reading the information or the what it could be about and thinking it's one thing and it's another thing. Just something always to be cognizant about when you are making covers and everything. So I may alter the font. I like the image because I did the image a few years ago, I think, when I first was thinking of the cover, and then I kept fine-tuning it the past few years as I adjusted the idea of where I want it to go. And I think I'd even finished the cover before I was even writing the book or finished writing the book, because sometimes I do like to do that. I like to make the cover before I even write the book. That way I can use it on social media or on my website as I put the word counts up so people can see what the cover looks like and get the idea of what I'm working with. I'm going to be adjusting. I swear Kaylee keeps crying. I am going to be adjusting the information on my website and the posts. I have a blog post that is going to come in the next few days. When I finish it, I will put it in the description under here. I'm hoping to finish it later today, but things happen. Every time I go to work or finish something, other things get my attention. Like right now, Kaylee, I am doctoring an ear infection for, and Chewbacca is getting to the point now that he's 16 years old where his hearing is having issues, but we can tell he's either completely blind or has lost a lot of his sight. So when he wants to get up and move around, until he acclimates himself properly, he does need often someone to kind of direct him so that he's not always just getting lost. Also, the little mind isn't connecting all the dots, so he'll sometimes go into a room and then we hear him fussing, and it's because he went into the room and he forgot how to turn around and get back out through the door, or he went in the room and he can't figure out why the door isn't there and it was an accidental turn into the wrong room. You know, anyone with an older dog, they understand. Also at night they start having issues, but he's still sleeping with my mom. I have told her if it's too much, she can always put him in here. But I think it's done with. But Lucy's laying next to me and she was dealing with a stomach ache, and then Mama is back there, right there, passed out because she is having some pain in her body. It goes and comes. There are stairs that they can use to get on my bed, but little stubborn butt likes to try to still be her young little self, and she likes to do what Kaylee's about to do. They jump from my bed to Mila's bed and onto the floor, and oftentimes Kendra doesn't land the jump, so it twists her little arms and stuff. So she deals with a lot of leg pain and body pain at times. It comes and goes. Right now it's come, so she's been getting aspirin to help her with the pain. Dog aspirin, in case anybody freaks out going, "You're giving your dog aspirin?" No, dog aspirin. So I'm hoping to get that blog post up. So those posts that it's going to describe is going forward. I am going to be switching out a lot of stuff now that WordPress is allowing the ability to have paid tiers, memberships, whatever you want to call it. I call it tiers and memberships just for ease of use, so everybody will understand it, because that is the way most sites discuss it. Like on Twitter, there are subscriptions you can sign up for, but you have to pay for Twitter Blue. Then you can have people pay you for subscriptions, which I don't understand the point of that, and it's just annoying. But with WordPress, they had that too, but now recently they have switched it out so that I can enable subscriptions, so that for the posts that I do, I will be able to start putting my posts back on there that I enjoyed doing, that were more psychoanalyzing the character and the scene that I was working on. I used to do them every day, but as my time for work and everything around working on the computer kind of goes out the window, I can't do them every day and spend all that time on them. But I also don't want to spend hours writing those up and posting them when they have a lot of information of the stories, and there potentially could be spoilers, and that's just a lot of work that I do. So I have decided that my time is valuable and I enjoy doing that. But at the same time, that's a lot of still writing I'm doing that I'm basically giving away. So I'm going to make tiers on my website for a few different charges that you can sign up for. The most expensive, it's going to match what I've had for coffee and Discord, but Discord, since so few people really want to use it, I'm probably gonna just delete the server and not waste my time with it, because that's yet another one that I'm spreading myself thin trying to keep track of. And I know a lot of people are constantly pushing, be everywhere, spread yourself thin, and then you'll get more attention. But I think it's better to do the places I enjoy, and I enjoy connecting with people and having all of you connect to me there. If someone does not want to, fine, they can just stick with buying books off of Amazon and all the other retailers. But for those who really want to see more into my mind, or into what I'm writing, into everything else, I'm setting it up so you get more benefits, and you will, through my website, get even more benefits for the highest tier, which is the everlasting, just like it was on coffee. But that one, I added the ability to have me coach you on your work. If you want to poke at my brain and get my exclusive help and attention on something you're working on, then it doesn't, just disclaimer, it does not mean that I'm going to do your work. It means I am going to coach and help you with your work. If you'd like some ideas to help you and you want my particular help, I'm not an expert. There are plenty who can. This is just if you want mine, and extra time and attention from me focused on helping you. And that tier is also going to be one free paperback of mine every time I publish a work, per person who is on one of those tiers. Only US residents, just because for now I do not want all the extra hassle of all the extra fees and things I'll have to go through to send someone a book. So I apologize if you're not in the US, and hope you understand that. And they will, I think there's a couple other things that I put on those tiers, but you will be able to check those out when I get the blog post published. I did sign up for Threads for now to see if that's worth my time and attention. So if you are on there, there will be a link below this video and a few future videos. If you go to my profile for YouTube, it shows Instagram, but if you click it, it's actually a link for Threads. So if you've signed up there and would like to come follow me, you're welcome to. Depending on how much attention I get on there and engagement, depends how long I will last on there and if I stay. Otherwise, I am at the point where, again, I am condensing and deleting accounts that I don't use, that I don't want to spend my time on. Mostly I still am active on here on YouTube, on Twitter, so on Facebook, just depends. The next ambiance video from my Sofrir and Pheirgr of Atalantius Omega-3 video book. The next video for that book is going to be based around the laboratory from, I think it was halfway through, where they have to go down into the mountain. I have an image already for it. I just need to alter it a bit because I don't like using the images as is. I try to render an image or put together an image and then alter it as much as I can to match the idea in my head, I guess you could say. So that will be coming out soon as well. I don't know when exactly. And the third book in the Chronicles of the Priestess world is, I have reached about, if I have time to write shortly after recording this, I will probably hit 50K, which is about halfway through the book, writing the book, and that is, I actually think, I was thinking about it yesterday when I finished writing the book, or not finished the book, but finished writing in the book. I was thinking about the fact that it almost feels like this only just got started. A lot of the former ideas that I was using for the first round that I wrote this book, whenever I wrote it, whatever year, I used a lot of the ideas in the first and second book, but so far I believe the only part that I have used for my former outline for this writing is the very first part. Then I completely veered off into a new territory, and the story has been flowing from there. So I have not really reconnected to the original outline up until just now, when the priestess is basically telling Reagan that, or Reagan, I know I say Reagan, it's just default, but technically you could call it Reagan if you prefer that version. But she effectively tells him that she really isn't the person that he thinks she is, and she's understood that. But there's a moment that I like in that scene that I was writing yesterday where her and him are basically going at it because they meet up after having a fight, their basically last moment, and he's been trying to do his little, they kind of connect in the dreamland, or when her defenses are completely down, and that's dreamland, sleeping, super sick, delusional, out of its space, and because they have that connection on like a deeper level, on a more spiritual level and spirit realm thing, and he's been trying to connect with her to figure out where she is, but she's like, every time he gets close she'll veer off because she's trying to block herself from all of that right now because she doesn't want to deal with it. She doesn't want to focus there because of all the things he's making her feel, and she needs to, like, this area needs to get cleared out and focused on. So you kind of can see their little connection, and that no matter how angry he gets at her and no matter how opposite sides they are, there is still that moment in this scene that I was working on yesterday that I liked, because he is clearly angry with her. He is clearly fed up with a lot of things going on in his own world, what he's trying to figure out and everything he's dealing with. But then there's this little tiny blink of a moment where it sounds like he's threatening her and he's telling her, be careful. And it hits her. She's like, oh, wow, okay. That's not him threatening. That's not him angry. He's trying to warn her that the person that she's with, because he's not aware if she's trusting him or not. She's not aware if she's falling for his little charms, which is the title of the book, Drakel Dangers, because he's capable of manipulating women to his whim so that they will give him what he wants. He seeks power. He seeks breeding. Those are only two things that those kind of creatures want, because power creates more power when they have something to inherit that power or take over and help them further their power, and that comes from their own like children and offspring. But there's also an issue with that because it could be competition for them. So it's like this inner battle they deal with where they want to spread, but at the same time they have to be careful who with and where they place that. Otherwise it could be their downfall, because then that one could get powerful and their child could come back and kill them, kind of thing. So it's a constant just it makes them crazy. And a Drakel is a little different because the human form is the shape they take on when they shift. Not they're a human and then they shift to a dragon, but they are a dragon who shifts to a human, and it takes extraordinary strength and power. So they're able to read and sense people and manipulate as they have figured all these things out. I don't want to go into it too much just because too long anyway. And so Reagan is concerned that she might be falling for this guy's charms because she's with him at that moment and he's helping her, and he knows that's a dangerous position for her too, because of even no matter what he fights, he senses everything in the magical realm, senses that little bubble of power inside of her that's just, it's almost overwhelming to anyone who's super hypersensitive to reading that stuff. But no matter what, there's that little moment that Reagan has where he straight up says, be careful. And it's threatening. It's him being angry. It's him being furious. And to anyone else, they would think he was just trying to control them and be mean. But he's literally asking her, be careful around the person that is beside her, getting all grr toward him, because they also have their own issues between each other, Reagan and the Drakel. Right now I call him Bane, but that was his original name, and I might change it because a lot of people use Bane. And then you got that, was it Marvel character, the one that goes against Batman? So I'm like, oh, I might need to change his name. I don't really like the mind connection I have when I say that, and too many use it. I might come up with a different name for him. I like that little tiny moment that Reagan gave her, because she's the only one, especially because she's looking right at him and into his eyes. She knows he's asking her, just be careful. No matter what else is going on, be careful. That's one line that he gives her, and she twitches because she realizes he's not threatening her. He's not trying to control her. He's not trying to be mean. He's genuinely just concerned for her well-being. And he's one of the few people who has that ability to sink past all those defenses she has and all the walls she's trying to keep up against him and everybody else, and just like, get to her in a way nobody else can, even though everything else about that moment and everything else about what's about to happen that I'm fixing to write in that moment says that basically they are at odds. She may have to go up against him. He's just letting her know, just please be careful so that she's okay, so that she's not taken advantage of or anything else. It's not a I don't believe you can take care of yourself or there's no rude and negative parts about it, even though anyone else could twist it. Anyone else, even her, even she could do it, twist it so it's him controlling or him wanting to manage her and doesn't think she could take care of herself, but it's not. He truly cares about her and her well-being, and that is all it is. He's just asking her as a reminder, as he has told her before, and when they last spoke, just be careful. Just don't completely drop your guard with him. Just ensure you're paying attention to everything else, because he trusts her to know who to trust, and he's proven, as she's discovered, that he is actually a good judge of character for her, because the people, even if he doesn't like the people, even if he has issues with the people, he does not warn her back and does not force the people away from her who he knows is good for her and who will help her with everything, because no matter what else goes on, her well-being matters to him, and he shows in just that little tiny sentence and moment. It also pisses her off because she's like, she don't want to feel compassion or anything for him. She wants to be angry with him, so she tries to kind of shove it at his face, like, always. She's always careful. Back off. Also, stop making her feel that way. Stop taking care of her and getting past all those defenses. So that is what I'm fixing to work on here shortly, is more into that scene and that area that's about to show more of what he is truly capable of, because he gets angry. The little Draco man has to poke right where he doesn't need poked, and he is already like all primed for an explosion, and then the guy did like just has to poke at the bubble. So we get to see a lot more about what Pheirgr has been containing and what he is truly capable of, that he has not been showing since the start of this book. And I'm not sure if I will end up veering back into the outline of before this. I know I will after. So I'm very interested to see how much of this outline that I keep actually connecting into this book and into this part of the story, and this third part of her unraveling who she is and unraveling everything about her and figuring it out, because what nobody else knows is that behind the scenes she's slowly figuring out a lot more than they think she is, understanding a lot more than they think she does. Are you fixing to have issues, Buggy? I think I gotta deal with Kaylee because she's starting to get antsy. So I hope that you have enjoyed the little chit chat around the work. I will get going and try to get to my writing. I hope that you have a wonderful day and that you are able to help someone smile, or they are able to help you smile. More to come.